So, have you ever heard of a book that literally no one can read? I mean, for over 100 years, not a single person has been able to make sense of it. Well, that book is real. It's called the Voynich Manuscript, and it's one of the most incredible, unsolved puzzles in all of history.
Okay, so what is it? It's a book about 240 pages long, and it's filled with this text in a language that is completely unknown. But here's the crazy part. The handwriting is so smooth, so confident. This wasn't just some random scribbling. Whoever wrote this knew exactly what they were doing. It really is like a message from a world we can't explain, and we have absolutely no idea what it's trying to tell us.
For a long time, pretty much everyone agreed that all the weird drawings in it must be from some fantasy world. I mean, it makes sense, right? But what if that's totally wrong? What if, like researcher Siv Bhagavatni says, we've just been looking at the whole thing from the wrong angle?
All right, so to really get what this new idea is all about, we got to first understand the old way of thinking. For decades, the entire mystery really boiled down to one thing: its collection of truly bizarre, you might even say impossible plants.
I mean, just think about it for a second. You've got a script that nobody can read. You've got drawings of plants that don't exist anywhere on Earth. You have star charts of a sky we don't recognize. So yeah, it's really no surprise that the best minds in code breaking, we're talking World War II legends, even people at the NSA, have been totally stumped by this thing for over a century. The easy answer, the default assumption was, well, it's got to be fantasy, or maybe even alien.
But let's hit pause on the fantasy idea for a moment. What if the explanation is actually way more human? This new theory suggests that all that weirdness isn't alien or magical at all. It might just be the result of a very real problem, the challenges medieval artists had when they tried to draw the world around them.
Okay, check this out. On the left, we've got a flower from the manuscript. Pretty much everyone agrees it's supposed to be a water lily. But see that little stalk poking out of the center? That's called a style. Here's the thing. Water lilies don't have those. But you know what does? Regular lilies.
So this is huge. This isn't some made-up fantasy plant. It's a real plant, just drawn with a very human mistake. It's exactly the kind of thing you'd expect from an artist trying to draw from memory. Or, maybe someone just told him that a water lily was as pretty as a lily, and our artist took that just a little too literally.
All right, let's try another one. This weird curled thing on the left, it doesn't really look like any flower, does it? But now, look over at the photo on the right. That's a wild carrot flower, right as it's starting to go to seed.
And boom, suddenly it makes perfect sense. This is such a great example of a totally different possibility. What if the artist was drawing a description of the plant? Imagine someone told them, oh yeah, the wild carrot flower, it curls up when it seeds. So they drew the words. They drew the idea of curling up. It looks strange for sure, but it's actually capturing a real fact about the plant. It's not fantasy at all. It's a literal drawing of a description.
And that brings us to a third possibility, which is maybe the coolest one: symbolism. So this plant here, researchers think it's Tuberous comfrey. Now, back in the Middle Ages, this plant had an amazing nickname, knitbone. Why? Because people would grind it up into a paste to help heal, you guessed it, broken bones.
So now look again at those leaves, how they're all tangled and looping over each other. Is that just a weird, clumsy drawing? Or could it be a brilliant visual symbol? A way to show that this plant's job is to literally knit bones back together? This suggests the pictures themselves might be packed with practical information hidden in symbols.
Okay, so we've got mistakes, we've got drawings of descriptions, and we've got symbols. That could explain all the weird stuff happening above ground. But maybe the biggest clue of all has been hiding right under our noses, or, well, under the dirt. It's the one part of these plants that the artists seem to get right, like consistently, almost obsessively right.
Yep, the roots. While the flowers and leaves can look all kinds of strange and simplified, the roots are drawn with incredible care. I mean, real accuracy. And that tells us so much about what mattered to the people who made this book. For them, the root was clearly the most important part of the plant. The part they were actually using for medicine or maybe for food.
Let's just fire off a few quick examples so you can see what I mean. Here, on the left, we've got a fibrous root system from the manuscript. Now look at the proper botanical drawing on the right. Come on, that's a perfect match.
Okay, next one. A tuberous root. Again, you've got the Voynich drawing on the left and the scientific one on the right. It is obviously the same structure. There's zero ambiguity there.
And one more, a bulb. Look at that layered, pointed shape in the manuscript drawing. It's unmistakably a bulb, just like the one next to it. So the takeaway here is crystal clear. When it came to the roots, these artists knew exactly what they were doing.
So, what does all this add up to? Well, it means we might need to completely reframe how we think about this puzzle. The Voynich Manuscript might not be this great, unsolvable alien thing we've all imagined. It might just be a very different kind of mystery.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. The plants aren't some fantasy creation. Their weird shapes are just human. They're the result of someone drawing from memory, or from a verbal description, or maybe using symbols to show what the plant was for. And through it all, they saved their best, most accurate work for the part that really mattered, the roots.
And here's what's so fascinating about this whole idea. It doesn't actually make the manuscript any less mysterious. In a way, it makes it even more profound. This isn't just some clever hoax or an alien textbook. It's a real, practical document made by real people. And its secrets aren't locked behind some cryptographic code we need to break. They're locked in a way of seeing the world, a worldview that's been lost to time.
And that leaves us with a really powerful final thought. What if the big question isn't, can we read this book? What if the real question is, can we learn to see the world the way its creators did? Maybe the key isn't cracking a code. Maybe it's about learning to see with medieval eyes, to understand a time when a drawing wasn't just a picture, but was loaded with memory, description, and deeper meaning.